So guys, I have an update on my Spain digital nomad visa. Because I've been on this journey for a while now and I know an update has been due for you guys, so I am here to give you one. Not only an update on my situation, my process, but also all the new rules and paperwork that you need to apply for this visa. So to bring it back, obviously, if you've watched my previous videos, I have done a bunch of videos on moving to Barcelona on the Spain digital nomad visa, and I haven't done an update on the visa in a very long time, but life was just a bit hectic, moving into the apartment, finding somewhere to live, me traveling to Iraq, getting settled. And then once I finally had everything together to apply, there was actually new documentation that I needed to get from some clients. So it took a little bit longer than expected. But to give you a timeline of everything, I pretty much started gathering all my documents in January, and I started getting my FBI criminal record check, which if you're American, you know takes a while to get. And I started gathering all my client documentation, my contracts, and all of that stuff. And then I moved to Barcelona in the middle of March, and it took a while for us to get our housing kind of situated. And then I was traveling and moving in life and whatever, so I got all my documentation together, and then I applied on June 6th. So once I applied, I actually heard back from the government on June 28th. So it was shy of those 20 days. It was just about 3 weeks it took to hear back, and they requested additional documentation. So when I applied in the beginning of June, they had not made it the rule. You need to have all your bank statements for the past 3 months submitted. I asked my lawyer, but he said he didn't need it at the time, so I didn't apply with it. So they came back asking for my full bank certificates for the last 3 months with all my deposits in it. And then also they wanted more tax documents. I already gave them a bunch from 2023, but this time they wanted proof that I was self-employed. And there is no actual quote unquote certificate for a freelancer in the US unless you have obviously an LLC, but I don't. And so I basically had to pull my 2023 tax return, and then I extracted the pages that had to do with my self-employment tax, and I submitted those into the government. And so it took about a week or so to get everything together, and then I had to get everything sworn translated, because pretty much now every document needs to be sworn translated, and the sworn translators are getting busy, and so it took a bit of time to get the actual paperwork back. And then I submitted that on July 7th, and then Monday, July 10th, which is just yesterday now, I got a call from my lawyer saying that my application was approved and I officially have the Spain digital nomad visa, and I am so freaking excited because I can officially say now I'm a resident of Spain. It was a bit scary for a bit there because I obviously had my long-term apartment, and some people were like, wow, you're a bit crazy to do that already, but I kind of wanted to have my life a little bit settled, and I had a very straightforward case, so I didn't think I was going to come across any issues, and luckily I did not, and I got my visa approved for the next 3 years. So now the process isn't even done yet, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, but once you have your approval for your visa, next you need to go get your TIA, which is your actual residency card for Spain. To do that, you need to go make an appointment at the police station somewhere in Barcelona or the surrounding area, and then you get your fingerprints done and you hand over a bunch of your documentation, your approval letter, your payment, some forms, proof that you have residence here, all those kind of things. And then once you do that, then they will send off your card to be actually made, and it takes about 30 to 45 days to get that card back. So it is still a process after approval to actually have my residency card here, but I'm officially approved and I am good to stay here. So I'm really, really, really excited. So I want to share with you guys a bit more tips and maybe some changes in documentation from the first video. If you watched that, that was a few months ago. So some things have changed, not drastically, but there are some additional documents you need now. So I'm gonna break down exactly what you need for the Spain digital nomad visa. And I'm gonna specifically talk more towards freelancers and self-employed, only because, as people may know, anyone from the US right now, Spain and the US have not come to an agreement yet on what to do about the social security certificate that you need. So as of right now, US employees cannot apply for the visa. I will touch a bit on UK because my boyfriend is from the UK, so I know the process that he went through as well. But to give you an overview, these are the documentations that you need for the Spain digital nomad visa as of July 2023. So number one you need is a scanned copy of all the pages of your passport, because you need to show your entry stamp into Spain. So if you've flown into Spain, super easy, you just get a photocopy of all the pages of your passport and send it over to your consultant or lawyer. If you've flown into Europe and you actually haven't flown directly into Spain and you do not have a Spanish entry stamp, you cannot apply without that stamp. So to get that, you need to actually make an appointment at a police station and bring your documentation for when you entered, your flights, all that kind of stuff into Europe, and they will give you an actual stamp saying for when you've actually entered Spain, if you've crossed land borders or you're already in the EU and flew in from another EU country. So that is really important and key because lots of people actually got their applications denied because they didn't have the entry stamp into Spain and they just had the entry stamp into the EU in general. They need to make sure that you are applying from within Spain. So definitely important one to have. Now, number 2, you need to have a work contract or contracts with clients that you've been working for at least 3 months. So you need to have your start date be 3 months prior to your actual application date. And within that contract, you need to have it stated that you work 100% remotely, that there's no office, how much money you are making monthly or what you're contracted for your salary is. And lastly, you need to have your start date on the actual contract. So make sure those things are included and you'll be good to go. If you have your contract with your employee, obviously you can use that. And then if you're a freelancer, you need that contract for each client that you work with. And then number 3, tailing off of that, you actually need to prove that your company that you work for or your clients have been in business for over a year, and they need to be a business. They cannot be a sole person that you are selling to. You need to have a good standing certificate, pretty much the registration certificate in the country where the business is registered. So for me personally, I have a bunch of freelance clients. They're all businesses. So I was able to go and pull the registration forms for when they open their business to show that it's been open for more than a year. And then if you're an employee, you can do the same thing for your actual employer. Those are all public record documents in the US and in the UK. You can actually go onto government websites and pull up the registration documents for the business and have those to submit. But you need to have them as a business. It cannot be a sole person that you are selling to. That doesn't actually hit the requirements you need to apply for this visa. Number 4, you need a letter from your employer or your contract clients authorizing you to actually work in Spain. Now, my lawyer provided this for me with a form that I was given to my clients for them to sign, just authorizing that I'm allowed to work here and they know that I'm working here. So that is definitely one thing I will say, like I've mentioned before, working with a lawyer consultant is something I highly recommend because a lot of these papers, they will be able to give to you and help direct you the best way to make sure you're not wasting your time or money applying for the visa and getting denied off of missing something small. So this is a letter that your lawyer or consultant will provide you, and then you'll have your client or company sign, and then you'll be able to submit that. Now, number 5, you need your university degree or 3 years of work experience. So get your university degree from your college, wherever you graduated, and then if you did not go to school, you need 3 years of relevant work experience, not just work experience anywhere. It has to be within the industry you are currently working in. And you could prove that with old work contracts, old client contracts, etc. And number 6, you need your resume. So you need to have your full CV with your work history as well as your university information for where you graduated. So you'll have your full CV and that will also be translated into Spanish for you to submit. And I'll actually go into details later at the end of this, what you need to translate, simple translation and foreign translations. But one thing to make sure is that your resume is up to date with all the current information and your clients and employers that you are applying with this visa for. Now, number 7, this is a really tricky one for US employees and a lot of other countries, but if you are an actual employee, so this does not apply to people who are self-employed or freelancers. If you are an employee, you need to have a social security certificate from your country basically stating that you are going to be continually contributing to Social Security over there, so you do not have to pay in Spain. One thing that's a big issue, obviously, is with right now, the US is not allowing anyone to get that certificate because they actually haven't updated their rules to include what we know as digital nomads now. So they are not giving anyone that form. Now, if you're from the UK, you can get that form, and it's the A1 form. And I will tell you, because my boyfriend's British and we went through this whole process, you need to have your employer apply for the CA3821 and CA3822 forms to be able to get that actual A1 form. Now, the A1 form does take up to 13 weeks, so make sure you plan ahead because there is really no way to expedite it at the moment. There was in the beginning, but so many people put in expedited urgent requests that pretty much now everyone's just in the same playing field. So make sure you are planning in advance if you're from the UK and you're an employee that you absolutely need that A1 form. Now, if you are self-employed or freelancer, you will be registering as Autonomo here in Spain. So you'll be a freelancer here in Spain and you do not need to provide that Social Security agreement because you'll be paying Social Security in Spain. Not the best case scenario, and I'm not really excited for it, but it does give you free healthcare. So if you're American, you get free Spanish public healthcare, which is something that doesn't even exist in America. So there is a plus to it a little bit, at least in my eyes as an American. Having free healthcare is just something I've never even thought was possible for me. So you will be paying Social Security, and for the first year, it will be 80 euros a month. And then after the first year, it'll be 30%, I think, of your net income. It can be quite high. I think the payments can go up to like 530 a month. With the Spain requirements for income to actually apply for this visa, people will be falling between like 200 and 500 euros a month. So it is something to definitely think about. For me personally as an American, if I was to live in America again, I'd be paying at least that just for health insurance and not even be fully covered. So for me, it doesn't bother me that much, but I do know people from other countries who do have free healthcare. They don't exactly have that same outlook on it, but Spain does have quite high taxes and high payments for self-employed and freelancers. It does suck, but that is the reality. So piggybacking off of that, the Spain income requirement. So there has been a bit of confusion on what the income requirement actually is. Some people say it is 2,100 euros a month, and some people say it's 2,500 euros a month. I would try and get closer to 2,500 euros a month. I do know people that have posted in the Facebook group saying that they have been approved with being close at 2,100 euros a month. So I'm not sure if that has changed currently, but I would try to stay closer to that 2,500 euros a month just to be safe. And then next, you need private health insurance only if you are an employee. As I just previously said, if you are freelance or self-employed, you will be filing as autónomo here in Spain, and you'll have access to Spanish healthcare system, so you do not need private health insurance. If you are an employee, part of that whole Social Security agreement is that you will not be paying Social Security here in Spain, so you will not have access to the Spanish healthcare system. So you need to have private healthcare before you apply. And I would make sure you definitely ask your lawyer consultant which companies are actually eligible as private insurance for a digital nomad here in Spain, because not all private health insurance companies are eligible under this visa to meet the requirements. So definitely make sure you're getting insurance from one of the companies that are actually approved for this visa. And then number 9 or 10, I think it is now, you need to have your criminal record check from your country in which you've lived in the past 5 years. So if you've lived in multiple countries, you will have to have multiple criminal record checks. But for the US, it has to be an FBI criminal record check, the federal one. It cannot just be a state level. And you have to have an apostille on this. So that is super important. For the US, you have to actually get your fingerprints done at one of the locations or mail them in. And then once you get that back, you have to send it back in again to the government to get the apostille. That could take up to 12 weeks. I will give you some advice. I got mine expedited by reaching out to my local congressman, explaining the situation. I was in America for only a few weeks and I had my flight back out to the UK and then to Spain. So with proving my actual flights that I had pre-booked and that I was applying for a visa, they were able to expedite my FBI criminal record check with the apostille, and I got it back in I think a week and a half or 2 weeks. So that is definitely an option for you if you're in a bit of a time crunch. For other countries like the UK, I know that their actual, I think it's ACRO, the criminal record check doesn't take as long. So I would definitely look into what country you're coming from to make sure you are planning correctly, because it may take time to get either the criminal record check or the apostille back. Depends on your country. So with that said, certain things that you do need the apostille on is your FBI criminal record check and your university degree. Those are 2 things that I had to have done and were definitely required for the visa. I was told by my lawyer that my good standing certificate needed to have an apostille on it. Mine didn't. I heard from other people they didn't have it done, and I was already out of America. So I submitted my good standing certificates from my clients without the apostille, and they went through fine. Now, one of the biggest changes to the visa recently has been the addition of the bank statements. Obviously, some people were already applying with this before, but previously you actually didn't need them. As long as you had contracts, invoices, etc., you were able to go without bank statements, but now they need detailed bank statements of your deposits. So when I did mine, I actually pulled just my deposits over the past 3 months. I actually gave them 6 months just to show that I have long-term clients and that I've been paid by the same client I'm applying with for a long time now. So I gave them 6 months, but you don't need to. You can give them 3 months, and I would suggest actually doing the deposits only, mainly because you do need to have this translated, and the translation costs are per page. So the less pages you have, the cheaper it will be for you. So rolling into that, another one of the big changes with the visa is that most of your documentation, if not almost all, needs to have a sworn translation. Now, Spain has a list of sworn translators. It's not just anyone who can do this translation for you. It needs to be one of the accredited sworn translators in Spain. And you will need to have your criminal record check sworn translated. You will need to have your tax documents sworn translated. You will need to have your good standing certificate sworn translated. I had to have my university degree sworn translated, my tax documents, all my tax documents sworn translated. And I had to have my actual work contract sworn translated. And then some simple translations I needed, which I actually just went onto Fiverr and got them done from someone relatively cheap. So definitely a good option if you need to have some simple translations done, because Google Translate isn't always the best option because it can mess up and you don't want to have any incorrect things come across on your application. So I did have my bank statements simple translated, and I did have my CV simple translated. So that is all your translations. That's your apostilles. That is your documents that you need to apply. I'm pretty sure that covers just about everything you need. Obviously, there are some specific situations with different people depending on what their actual personal situation is for work. So you definitely really should consult a visa immigration lawyer or somebody who actually knows this process and is fluent in Spanish and knows Spanish bureaucracy, because I can tell you, even the Spanish say that bureaucracy here is a bit all over the place, and you definitely don't want to be denied for something that you could have prevented by just hiring somebody. So if you're looking for a recommendation for a lawyer and a visa agent to work with, down below in my description is a link, and you can go have a free consultation call with Marina. I highly suggest it. She is really, really good, and she is so knowledgeable, and she actually helps you with each step along the way. One of the best things about it is all the fees, all your TIA fees, your residency card, all that kind of stuff, your sworn translations are included in her price, which you don't see by a lot of other lawyers. A lot of them will have the price of the visa and then the fees aren't included and the sworn translations aren't included, and it can add up to be quite extensive. So with her, it is a one-time cost. And since I love my community so much and I really did want to help out this visa, I did work out with Marina to get you guys a 10% discount off of the visa fee. So definitely go check out the link, go book a call, because it is comprehensive, and one of the best things is it's actually payment planned out, so you won't even make the biggest payment until your visa is approved, which is a huge kicker because there's so many lawyers sadly out there that are telling people they can apply and telling them that, yeah, you'll get approved, and then they don't, and they take the whole fee. And you don't want that to happen to you. So definitely, if you're looking for a lawyer recommendation, go below, click the link, and book a call with Marina. And I am gonna actually go off now and celebrate, because yesterday my head was so scrambled by getting the approval, and today I feel like I'm gonna get myself a bottle of wine. Harry's sadly not here, so I can't celebrate with him, but I can celebrate with some friends and with myself. So I'm gonna get myself a nice bottle of wine, make some dinner, and celebrate. And I'm so excited to have this visa. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, send me a DM. I wanna make more videos just detailing this process for you guys. So if you have certain questions, definitely ask me or book the call and ask Marina, and she can help you. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was super helpful for you. If you're loving the Spain content, digital nomad content, traveling, working online, all of that, please hit the subscribe button below and join this community. I absolutely adore all of you, and I have so many good fun plans for the rest of the content for this year. And yeah, I'm just so excited to now say I can call Spain really home, and I can't wait to invite more of you guys to do the same. And if you're in Barcelona, please DM me, say hi, let's meet up. I actually love you guys, but I'll catch you in the next one. See you from Spain.